storage. So while we talk about post-harvest, I would like to first of all feel very honored and very uh, privileged that what we read about India is not right. Over the years, there are people who have come and written something which was prevalent, say 20, 25 years ago. For example, if we do a research, we will find that the post-harvest losses in India is in a tune of 15 to 20%. I don't know when was this study done, because as per the latest estimates, which as per industry we have, the percentages in the food grains and pulses are less than around 4 to 5%, and on the fresh fruits vegetable, which they quote 40%, is would be around 15%. This is a figure which has been researched 20, 30 years ago, and people are still following it when they're trying to address the challenges in Indian agriculture system. First of all, the research needs to be updated. The infrastructure in the country has grown, things have evolved, that these losses are not as what it was stated in those research. So this is where the problem begins, because the problem statement which has been identified as 15, 20, 30% loss is actually not the loss. So people are working with a preset of mind. They are already preset that this is going to be a loss. We have to figure out a way. Now, this is not how things are there in the fields. That's number one on the post-harvest side. Second thing, which you open a research paper and the literature, people will talk about that the Indian value chains are fragmented and they are inefficient. Though I agree that these value chains are fragmented, but I don't agree that these value chains are inefficient. They are highly efficient. So I don't agree that when they say it's inefficient, they are highly efficient considering the context in which we operate. See, we as a country have a large base of small and medium farmers, and small and marginal farmers, not medium farmers, small and marginal farmers. And we have a huge population base which has to be fed, and which is a very price sensitive people. We cannot increase the prices abnormally. So what has happened is that when people talk about getting from farm to fork or all those things, this does not work in India. There is a role which each and every operator in the current supply chain uses. The technology interventions which are these days being talked about is to eliminate these people. This will not be possible considering the cost in which these people operate. These people can carry, we have seen people in the markets and all carrying one bag of urea on their cycle or their motorcycle. None of the corporates will be able to match this cost. The moment you put high elements or high resource cost there, the cost to the consumer will go up, which is not possible. That is why you will see most of the startups who are coming are not able to make money in this business, because this proves that the existing models are self-sufficient. What it may lack today is the transparency. So there's a lot of transparency which is needed. So my suggestion is, when we are looking at tech from the Indian context, the tech should not be from the perspective of disrupting the market. The tech should be from the perspective of making it more transparent, making it more reliable. Once we solve these two things of the tech piece, the entire value chain is sorted out. So today, when it is recorded as to how much people have produced, how much they are sold to what is the value addition happening at each level, that is when there is be a formal source of finance which will be available. Once a formal source of finance is available, people will be able to experiment more. People will be able to try new things. People will be able to build in those infrastructure. For example, if you look at the data, the secondary level of processing as a country is very low in India. And the primary level of processing at the farm gate is also very low. See, as primary level processing could mean what? Grading, sorting. Now, if we are able to do grading, sorting at the farm gate, you take away the, you keep the margin which somebody else in the agri value chain in the middle will earn. So these types of interventions will only be possible when your entire supply agri value chains or in the entire components within this are digitized. This is what digitals will do. So when we talk about post-harvest, the post-harvest numbers, the productivity has to improve as a country. Value chains have to be documented and digitized so that we are able to record. For example, if you see today what UPI has done, UPI is now creating a record for each of the vendors, whether it is a grocery store or a newspaper guy or a chaat wala or chowmein wala. Everybody is now able to have a record as the income they are able to generate. More than that, they are able to collect the amount same day. It is not that today that somebody will say, okay, I'll give you tomorrow, and then again you forget about it, or somebody tries to keep that 2 3 rupees margin which you earn, saying that we don't have a change. Everything is sorted out through UPI. Once your change is taken care. Second, the most important thing is your entire revenues are recognized, which will help build a credit history for you when you want to avail some loan to expand your business. Because as we evolve, there will be requirement for funds to expand your business. Now, that is what UPI is. The same thing has to happen on the agri side. What the farmer sells and what the and what is being bought by the Adatya, once it gets digitized, it becomes easier for the banking sectors to lend money on. So that is what is the need of the hour. Coming to storage, storage is an animal which will remain because we produce commodities once in a year and the consumption is round the year. Now, with this context, there will be storage which is involved. Storage comes with its own challenges in terms of the availability of finance. Now, commodity-based finance has evolved as a very good mechanism to address this issue. The penetration may still be less on the tertiary side, but there are organizations like us who are trying to go deeper to the farm gate to make storage available to the farmers or the farmer organizations, and that finance is made available. Without finance, storing is technically difficult considering the capacity of the farmers we have. Now, with this two, the storage and finance needs to go hand in hand. It will not be like we look at one aspect of storage and ignore the finance. Storage with finance will have to go hand in hand. And once the storage is taken to the farm gate and all, we have seen that the price appreciation in itself gives good remunerative returns to the farmers. So they earn on a net basis without much effort after they store the commodities. So these 3 4 things are very, very important from the agri value chain. So I'll just try to summarize the discussion. Number one, that post-harvest losses are not as huge as what people say. It's a myth which needs to be corrected. Because once we solve the myth, automatically we will be able to figure out what solution will work. Otherwise, we will keep shooting it in the dark and hope that someday we hit the target. Second myth is it is fragmented and inefficient. Part of it is correct. It is fragmented because that's a need of the hour. It is inefficient. My answer is no. It is highly efficient considering the context in which we operate. Storage and finance have to go or hand in hand. More storage structures, infrastructure needs to come on near the farm gate so that more people can utilize storing the commodity and preserve them for a longer period. This is on the topics. I will then leave the forum open for questions in case they have.
Okay. Thank you for the short talk. I'll take up some questions now. Okay. So the first question is, what are the key strategies in agricultural value chain that farmers should focus on for maximizing profitability?
As I mentioned, the first strategy and the only strategy which will work right now with the farmer is to have some primary level of processing, which means grading, sorting, and cleaning at the farm gate of the grains. That's number one, and a very low costing which the farmers should adopt. Prior to this activity of primary level of processing, there is another activity which the farmers should educate is in terms of when to harvest. At times, farmer harvests when the moisture content is high in the grains, which unnecessarily results in deduction at the Adatya end, and it also hampers the storage in case the buyer of that commodity wants to store. So they will try to squeeze out. So two things have to be taken care by the farmer for the value chain, which is within their control and does not require much of an investment, is harvesting at the right moment. And second is doing those primary level processing. Now, there will be good consultants available to tell you that you start processing, convert the paddy into rice, or wheat into atta and make a brand. Those are difficult things to do. People have not been able to do. But this primary level processing, if you do, you clean your grain properly, you ensure that the admixtures and all are curtailed, the way you harvest, you reduce those things, automatically you get a better price in the market.
Right. Okay. How does post-harvest assistance directly impact the quality and market value of agricultural products?
See, post harvest may not, waste harvest impacts the quality, because if you are harvesting a commodity in the field and you let admixtures get into or foreign matter get into, the valuation of the commodity directly goes down. Number one. Second, all those admixture or the I would say the dust or the food, I would say the waste material reduces the shelf life of the commodity. It attracts infestation and all. These two are very critical as to uh, ensuring that the harvest is done properly. There are no admixtures, so it reduces. You stop reduction of value there. Second is the cleaning and all has to be proper. It impacts the storage. So impact is on the value and also on the storage duration, which may directly impact the net return to the farm.
Okay. What are the most effective storage methods for perishable crops in smallholder farms?
See, perishables, my advice is not possible to store much. So you need to figure out of selling. Otherwise, the best way to have those controlled cold storages if you have nearby. For non-perishable commodities, there is some amount of storage which you can do at the farm gate. Otherwise, for the perishable commodity, it has to go and to be sold. Not much room available there.
Okay. How can farmers leverage financial assistance or loans to enhance their post-harvest and storage capabilities?
See, if they are able to store, most of the banks are willing to lend. Like our own NBSC, we are willing to lend if they store commodities in our warehouse or a central or state warehousing corporation. So once they get that loan, the loan amounts vary from 60 to 75% depending on the uh, commodity which we are funding and the value of it. When they receive funding, this will help them to meet their consumption needs for the coming season. So they can buy their inputs, they can buy their goods needed to survive, food and all. So these loans are available easily now, and these are one of the best loans which are available at a very low rate in compared to the tractor loans and all which are available, or a microfinance loan. So storage with financial solution is the best way on the post harvest side for them to leverage on the value of the commodity. If they find at the time of harvest prices are down, please store it, get loan on it, and sell it when the prices appreciate. That's the best strategy for them to adopt.
Okay. What role do digital platforms and technology play in improving transparency and efficiency in the agri value chain?
It is in a very nascent stage right now. People are working to create that transparency, but the net result still have to be seen as to what kind of transparency it will act like. We are talking about Agri Stack. If Agri Stack becomes a reality, the land records are updated, everything is updated. It will become easier for banks to lend, and it will be easier for the farmer to avail loan, because now the land verification, everything is done. Geofencing, geotagging will be done, so it becomes easier for the banks to rely on the data, and the cost of entire transaction will go down. Today, there is a cost involved in getting the land records verified. Now, if everything is digitized, the verification becomes easier, and disbursing loan with those land as security becomes much more uh, doable.
Okay. And how can farmers mitigate the risk of post-harvest losses, particularly in developing regions?
Other than storage, they may not be storing in a scientific way will help. But what they can do is to, 1 second. Sorry. Hmm. So the I'm sorry, I lost the question. Can you just repeat it so that we can edit it later?
Okay. How can farmers mitigate the risk of post-harvest losses, particularly in developing regions?
So they can mitigate the risk is by figuring out some good scientific storage methods at the field, where they say they can prefer to store commodities like soya bean, mustard, which are not infested by pests. For commodities like wheat and all, they should also have evolved some small storage structures where the pest infestation cannot happen. In case they have to store it, they should also learn how do you fumigate it. Because if you look at the cost of fumigation, is only 20 rupees a ton or a 15 rupees a ton. But if you look at the if the stock gets infested, the 1% of infestation will reduce the value by 1% of wheat, which is like 200 rupees. So instead of saving the 20-25 rupees of fumigation cost, they should invest that 20 rupees and save that 200 rupees of infestation. So they should be uh, taking care of the material, not leaving it to the vagaries of the nature, saying that, okay, that is sab chalta hai types, which results in loss. Most of the farmers don't really understand the importance of safekeeping of commodities from infestation. For example, if it is chana, they allow the borers to come in and say, anyhow, it has to get converted into besan. It is not like that. It has to be converted into besan. But with insects doing it and converting into besan, the valuation of the commodity is going down. Which, if they stop doing this, the 2-3% in the value of loss which they get for an infested will be avoided. Some of the innovative methods which have come around is hermetic storage structures. These are small cocoon bag structures which can be installed in the farm gate. Though their cost is still high, there are workings around to reduce the cost. If that happens, these are cocoon bags which can be installed in a day in a warehouse, in a farm gate or near to the houses, and you don't need fumigation. It keeps the material intact, and it creates an anaerobic condition where the oxygen is taken out from the entire stacks, and it helps us to increase the shelf life of the commodity, and also the control of all the insect pest is organic. This is a concept which has worked well in Western America and Western countries, and in Africa. In India, it has been adopted by a lot of organic players, but still, the cost at which it is available is not working well for the non-organic players. So, as we go along, when the cost of material gets to a slight more innovation on that cost, will help them as to have this available at a low cost, which will make it much, much more viable. So finance scheme, I'm aware. Government schemes, I will not be able to comment because that's not what I deal with. Finance is mostly the storage post-harvest finance, as I mentioned, warehouse receipt finance, which is one of the best utilized product is available if you store in a registered or a recognized warehouse of the bank. I just answered this one. See, value chain improvements, sorry, I was on mute. So, value chain improvements which work well is first the aggregation. And prior to aggregation, what has to work for the farmer is to grow a similar kind of a variety. We see a lot of farmers grow a different kind of a variety, which does not permit the co-mingling. So the farmers should work in a group there. And if the farmers can work in a group under a FP or all, they will be able to grow the same kind of a variety. And they are able to grow the same kind of variety. The output will be more using. And once they aggregate the stock, that is when they will be able to reduce the transportation cost and the cleaning and sorting costs which could be associated, which will help them to generate value. So the key is growing the same kind of variety and aggregating the stock together. And when you grow together the same kind of variety, the utilization or the requirement of pest infested or say pesticide, fungicide and all are taken in a group, which will help you to reduce the cost of buying those pesticides. So the key word is to aggregate together, work as a cohesive unit.
Okay. So one last question. What are the key challenges faced by farmers when seeking finance for post-harvest and storage improvements?
See, one of the key challenges is the availability of a registered warehouse in the same vicinity is not there. So if the warehouse is not in the same vicinity, the travel cost or the cost of taking the material from there to a registered warehouse makes the entire proposition unviable. And improving the storage infrastructure is something which is not easily available.
Okay. Okay, so before we end, one last question. Please let us know a little about your career background and what made you to take an interest in agriculture field.
So I'm an Agri graduate from Allahabad Agriculture Institute. I did my MBA in Agri Business Management from Manage Hyderabad and then joined ICICI Bank in the Rural Agri Division. Something was kicking me to figure out to address the agri challenges. So we thought everybody talks about problems in agriculture. Let us focus on some solutions. So if you see one of our companies, Arya, then Financial Solutions. So we are focusing on solution rather than focusing on problem. Our thought process is that the tech use and whatever we want has to be a win-win situation. People are focusing with a prejudice in mind that the farmers should be supported. So we also believe that the farmers have to be supported, but there has to be a business proposition. Once it falls in a business proposition, farmers will be happy to adopt it.
Okay. So your interest was to find the solution.
Yes.
That's the reason you entered this field.
Yes. So our focus is to identify a problem and then a solution rather than have a solution in mind and then go and figure it out where it can fit in.
Very nice to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Anand. So now we have come to end of question round. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we'd like to thank you for the talk and answering all the questions. And I also like to thank my detailed team for sharing the questions. The meeting will now be closed.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you.